My parents spent the money I sent for home repairs on my sister's cosmetic surgery, then looked me in the face and said, "We used it for the house. Stop acting crazy." I just cut off the one thing they relied on every month. And by morning, they were calling. Before we start, if you enjoy our stories and you're not subscribed yet, just tap that button. It keeps us going, and we'd love to have you with us. Thank you for subscribing. Okay, this one is really something. My sister posted a photo on a Sunday afternoon. New face, new chin, new nose, hashtag blessed, hashtag self-care, hashtag finally me. The procedure she'd been talking about for 2 years, the one she said she couldn't afford, the one she needed $14,000 for, was suddenly done, paid in full. And she posted it 3 days after my mother asked me for another $1,600 to finish the porch railing. The porch railing that was still rotted when I drove down to see it for myself. My name is Marcus. And for 11 months, I sent my parents $1,600 every month to fix a house that was never repaired. The money went somewhere else, to someone else's face. And when I asked about it, my father looked me in the eye and said, "We used it for the house. Stop acting crazy." Let me tell you how the money stopped. Then I'll tell you how it started. On December 1st, the wire transfer didn't arrive in my parents' account. I know this because my father called me at 6:14 a.m. on December 2nd. Not because someone was sick. Not because something broke. Because the money didn't come. For 11 months, he never called to say thank you. He never called to update me on the repairs. He never called to ask how I was doing or whether the overtime was wearing me down. But the morning the wire didn't land, he was on the phone before the sun came up. I looked at the screen. I saw Dad. I set the phone face down on my nightstand and went back to sleep. He called again at 8 a.m. I let it ring. My mother called at 8:34 a.m. I let it ring. My father called a third time at 9:15. I picked up. "There's a problem with the transfer. It didn't come through." "There's no problem. I canceled it." Silence. 3 full seconds of it. Then, "What do you mean you canceled it?" "I mean, I called the bank and told them to stop sending my money to your account." "Why the hell would you do that?" "Because I drove to the house last Saturday and nothing has been repaired. Because I called 3 contractors and none of them have ever been to your address. And because your daughter posted a $14,000 procedure on Instagram 3 days after Mom asked me for $1,600 for the porch railing. That's why." More silence. Then, "You're being ridiculous." "The house looks the same, Dad. Show me what's ridiculous about that." He hung up. My mother called 30 minutes later. Her voice was different. The monthly warmth was gone. The soft tone she uses on the 25th when she calls to describe the latest emergency had been replaced by something tighter and more alert. "Your father says you canceled the payment, is that true?" "Yes." "Why would you do that without talking to us first?" "I did talk to you. Every month for 11 months. You told me the roof was leaking. You told me the porch was rotting. You told me the kitchen ceiling was about to collapse. I sent you $17,600. And when I went to see the house, every single thing you described was exactly the same as the photos you sent me in March." "Marcus, the contractors have been delayed. You know how these things work." "What's the contractor's name, Mom?" "What?" "The name of the contractor. Who has been doing the work on your house for 11 months? She paused. "I'd have to look it up." "You've been paying someone $1,600 a month of my money for almost a year and you don't know their name?" "I'll find it and send it to you." She never sent it. Now, let me take you back to the beginning, because I need you to understand what that money cost me before I can explain what it meant to lose it. 11 months ago, my mother called me on a Wednesday night. Her voice was the one she uses when she needs something but wants it to sound like she doesn't. Careful, slightly fragile, just enough worry to make you lean forward. She said the roof was leaking. Bad. Into the bedroom. She said the porch railing was rotted through and someone was going to get hurt. She said the kitchen ceiling was water-stained and sagging in the middle. She said, "Your father's back is too bad for him to do it himself. We just need some help getting started." I didn't hesitate. I said, "How much do you need?" She said the contractor estimated $1,600 to start the roof work. First payment of several. I wired it the next day. That was the first $1,600. Here is what I need you to understand about that money. I didn't send it from a savings account. I didn't have a savings account. I was making decent money at my regular job, enough to cover rent and groceries and gas, but not the kind of money that leaves $1,600 sitting around at the end of the month. Not even close. So I found a second job, a warehouse on the east side of town that needed weekend loaders. Saturday and Sunday, 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., loading pallets onto trucks, carrying boxes that weighed 40, 60, sometimes 80 pounds up a ramp and into a trailer that smelled like diesel and old cardboard. Then back down the ramp. Then back up. For 8 hours. I did this for 4 months straight. My body changed in ways I didn't want it to. My lower back started locking up on Sunday nights. My hands cracked from the cold because the loading dock wasn't heated, and the November air came through the open bay doors like it was trying to hurt you. I came home on Sunday afternoons and fell asleep on the couch with my boots still on. I'd wake up at 9 p.m., eat something cold from the fridge, and set my alarm for Monday morning so I could drive to my regular job and pretend I'd had a weekend. I didn't tell my parents about the warehouse. I didn't want them to feel guilty. I wanted them to believe I was comfortable and the money was easy to send. That's the math you do when you love somebody. You hide the cost so they don't feel the weight. You absorb the hurt so they can receive the help without it tasting like sacrifice. My car had a check engine light. It came on in April, month 2 of the wire transfers. The mechanic said the repair would be about $900. I told him I'd schedule it next month. But next month, the $900 was already committed to my parents' porch railing. So was the month after that, and the month after that. I drove with that light on for 7 months. Every morning on the way to the warehouse. Every Monday on the way to my regular job. Every evening on the way home. That little orange glow on my dashboard became part of the landscape of my life. I stopped seeing it as a warning. I started seeing it as a price. The price of being a good son. The price of fixing a house that, as it turned out, nobody was fixing. The phone calls came every month. My mother had a rhythm. She called on the 25th, 5 days before the 1st of the month. Just enough time to create urgency without sounding desperate. She always started with something personal. "How's work, honey? Are you eating enough? You sound tired." "I'm fine, Mom. Just busy." "You work too hard. Oh, I worry about you." The warmth was the on-ramp. The house was the highway. After 2 or 3 minutes of personal questions, she would transition. Smooth. Practiced. Like someone who has given the same pitch so many times it sounds natural. So the contractor came by this week and looked at the roof again. He says the leak has spread to the second bedroom now. Or, "Your father tried to patch the porch, but it's worse than we thought. The whole railing section needs replacing." Or, "I'm worried about the kitchen, Marcus. The contractor says there might be mold behind the ceiling panels. He wants to open it up and check." Each month the list got a little longer, but never long enough to make me drive down and check. Just long enough to justify another wire transfer. Just urgent enough to sound real. Just vague enough that I couldn't pin down specifics without sounding paranoid. She always ended the same way. "You're such a good son, Marcus. I don't know what we'd do without you." I heard that sentence 11 times. 11 months. 11 payments. 11 versions of, "You're such a good son," delivered in the same warm voice at the same point in the same phone call. And every time I heard it, I felt something I thought was love, but was actually something with a schedule and a billing cycle. She wasn't thanking me. She was keeping the subscription active. Send money, receive warmth. It was a transaction dressed up as a relationship. In month 4, something felt off. I asked my mother when the roof would be done. She said the contractor had been delayed by weather. I asked for photos of the progress. Or she sent a photo of the kitchen ceiling, still water-stained, and said, "This is what we're tackling next." But the photo looked exactly like the one she'd sent in month 1. Same stain, same angle, same sag. I stared at both photos on my phone, flipping back and forth, zooming in on the watermark to see if the shape had changed. It hadn't. I almost called her back. I almost asked why the kitchen looked the same after 4 months and $6,400. But then I heard my father's voice in my head, the flat dismissal he uses when I ask too many questions. And I pushed the thought down. Because suspecting your own parents feels worse than being wrong about drywall. In month 6, I asked for the contractor's name. Casually. Mom, what's the contractor's name? Just in case I need to reach him about the timeline. Eddie, he's local. Very reliable. Eddie what? I'll find out his full name and text it to you. She never texted it. I asked again 2 weeks later. Mom, did you get Eddie's last name? Oh, I think they changed their number. Let me ask your father. She never brought it up again. And I let it go. Because I was tired. Because the warehouse was breaking my body down. Because fighting with your mother over a contractor's phone number felt small when you were working 16-hour days to send her money for a roof she said was about to fall in. I let it go. That's the part that still stings. I had the thread in my hand twice and I dropped it both times. Not because I was stupid, because I was loyal. And loyalty, in this family, was the thing they charged admission for. In month 7, my sister Jenna started posting about wanting cosmetic work. Nothing specific at first, just references to investing in myself and a change I've been dreaming about. She'd been talking about getting work done for 2 years, chin, nose. She said it was about confidence. She said it was about mental health. She said it cost around $14,000 and she was trying to save up. I didn't connect it to anything. Jenna's life was Jenna's life. She lived 20 minutes from my parents. She had a job. She had her own apartment. She had her own problems that she talked about on social media, the way her generation talks about everything, publicly and with hashtags. I didn't follow her posts closely. I didn't have the energy. My weekends were spent on a loading dock. Then, on a Sunday afternoon in November, Jenna posted the photo. I was lying on my couch. Boots off for the first time since 6 a.m. My back was tight from 8 hours of pallets. I was scrolling my phone the way you scroll when your body is too tired to do anything else but your brain won't shut off. And there she was. New face, new chin, new nose. Clean bandages visible at the edges from the recent recovery. The clinic was tagged. The hashtags were stacked. Blessed. Self-care. Finally, me. In the comments, someone asked how she afforded it. She wrote, "Family helped out." Family helped out. I read those 3 words 4 times. I set my phone on my chest and stared at the ceiling. My back was aching from the warehouse. My hands were still cracked. My car was sitting outside with a check engine light that had been on since April. Family helped out. I picked up my phone. I opened my banking app. I scrolled through 11 months of wire transfers. $1,600. $1,600. $1,600. $1,600. 11 times. I did the math even though I already knew the number. $17,600. My sister's procedure cost $14,000. I looked at the Instagram post again. I looked at the bank statement. I put them side by side in my head and the math wasn't complicated. The math was the simplest thing in the room. Everything else was about to get very difficult. That post went up on a Sunday. 3 days earlier, on Thursday, my mother had called me on the 25th, right on schedule, and asked for another $1,600. She said the porch railing needed to be fully replaced now and the contractor was ready to start. The porch railing. The one I'd been hearing about since month 2. The one that supposedly needed patching, then reinforcing, then partial replacement, and now full replacement. 9 months of porch railing updates. 9 months of progress on a piece of wood that, as I was about to find out, looked exactly the same as it did when this started. I didn't send the money that Thursday. For the first time in 11 months, I didn't wire the $1,600 on the 1st. I needed to know something first. I didn't call my parents. I didn't call my sister. I called 3 contractors in my parents' area code. I gave them the address and asked if they had any record of work scheduled, estimated, or completed at that property in the past year. None of them had ever heard of the address. No estimates, no site visits, no invoices, no materials ordered. Not a single licensed contractor in the region had any record of my parents' house. I called my mother the next day. I kept my voice casual. Hey, Mom, I want to check on the porch timeline. Can you send me the contractor's number so I can follow up? Oh, sure, let me find it. I'll text it to you. She didn't text it. I waited 2 days. I asked again. I think they changed their number. Let me ask your father. That's when I knew. Not suspected. Knew. Because a woman who has been paying a contractor $1,600 a month for nearly a year does not lose their phone number, unless the contractor doesn't exist. The following Saturday, I got in my car at 5 a.m. and drove 4 hours south without telling anyone. The drive was quiet. No music, no podcasts, just the hum of the engine and the check engine light and the specific silence of a man who is about to find out whether his family has been lying to him for a year. I didn't know for certain yet. I had suspicion in math and a missing contractor's phone number, but I didn't have proof. Our proof was 4 hours south, standing in the same spot it had been standing in since March. I parked across the street from my parents' house at 9:15 a.m. I sat in the car for 3 minutes and looked at the building I had been paying to fix for 11 months. The roof was still damaged. Same missing shingles over the bedroom. Same discoloration where the water had been leaking through. Same warped section near the chimney that my mother had described in month 1 as getting worse every week. The porch railing was still rotted. Not replaced, not patched, not reinforced, not touched. The same soft, dark wood that bowed when you put any weight on it. 9 months of porch railing updates, and the railing looked like it hadn't seen a human hand since before I started sending money. Through the kitchen window, I could see the ceiling. Still sagging in the center, still water-stained. The same brown ring I'd seen in the photo my mother sent in March, the one that started all of this. If anything, the stain was bigger. 11 months. $17,600. $17,600 that came out of my weekends, my body, my savings, my car repair, and my sleep. And the house looked exactly like the photos my mother sent to justify the first payment. Nothing had been touched. Not one board, not one shingle, not one tile. I got out of the car. I walked around the property slowly, taking photos with my phone. Same angles my mother used. The roof from the sidewalk. The porch from the front steps, the kitchen ceiling through the window. Side by side with the originals, the before and after were identical. Because there was no after. There was only before. You're running on a loop for 11 months, and I was the one paying for the replay. While I was looking at the porch, a neighbor walked over. A woman in her 60s wearing a garden glove on one hand and holding a coffee cup in the other. Her name was Ruth. Are you Donna's son? The one from up north? Yeah, Marcus. Your mom mentioned you've been helping out with repairs. That's really kind of you. This old house needs the work. Did she tell you what kind of repairs? She said you were sending money to get the place fixed up, the roof and the porch and the kitchen. I told her I could recommend a handyman I've used for years. Good guy, fair prices. She said they already had someone. Ruth, can I ask you something? Did you ever see a crew here? Workers? A truck parked outside? Anyone carrying tools or lumber? What, anything at all? She thought about it. She looked at the house. She looked at the porch railing, still rotted, still bowing. She looked back at me. No, she said. I never did. She said it slowly, like the answer was arriving in her head at the same time it was leaving her mouth. Like she was hearing the question for the first time and realizing she should have asked it herself a long time ago. I thanked her. I walked to the front door and knocked. My mother opened it. Her face went through 3 expressions in 2 seconds. Surprise. Then warmth, the automatic warmth she uses when she sees me, the same warmth that opens every phone call. Then something tighter and colder when she read my face and understood that this was not a surprise visit. This was an arrival. Marcus, what are you doing here? You should have called. I would have made something. Show me the repairs. What? The roof, the porch, the kitchen ceiling. Walk me through the house and show me what $17,600 fixed. Honey, what are you talking about? Come inside, let me make you some coffee. I don't want coffee, Mom. I want to see the repairs. She stood in the doorway. She didn't move. She didn't step aside. Her body was blocking the entrance the way a person blocks a door. When they know what's behind it doesn't match what they've been saying about it. My father came up behind her. He read the situation in about 3 seconds. I could see the gears shift behind his eyes. He didn't ask what was wrong. He didn't ask why I was there. He went straight to the tool he's been using on me since I was a teenager. We used it for the house. Stop acting crazy. The house looks the same, Dad. Show me what's crazy about that. I pulled out my phone. I opened the photos from 20 minutes ago. I held the screen up between them. This is the roof, this morning. Same damage as March. This is the porch. This morning, same rot, same railing. This is the kitchen ceiling through the window, same stain, same sag. 11 months and $17,600, and not one thing has been touched. My father looked at the screen. His jaw tightened, but he didn't speak. I called 3 contractors in this area code. None of them have ever been to this address. No estimates, no invoices, no record of any kind. I asked Mom for the contractor's number, and she said she'd send it. She never did. I asked again, and she said they changed their number. Nobody changes their number in the middle of an 11-month job. My mother said, Marcus, here the situation is more complicated than you think. It's not complicated at all. You called me on the 25th of every month. You described a problem. I sent $1,600. You said thank you. You called again the next month, 11 times, and none of the money went to this house. That's not true. Then show me. Walk me to one room in this house where work has been done. One wall, one tile, one shingle. Show me one thing. She didn't move. Where did it go, Mom? Marcus. Where did the money go? My father stepped forward. Your sister needed help. The procedure was something she'd been wanting for years, and it was affecting her confidence, her mental health, everything. Your mother and I made a decision to help her. With my money, it was a family decision. I wasn't part of that decision. I wasn't told. I wasn't asked. I was lied to for 11 months. We were going to pay you back. With what? You've been calling me every month because you can't cover basic repairs. Where was the $17,600 payback going to come from? He didn't answer. My mother started crying. Not the kind of crying that comes from guilt or regret. The kind that comes from the loss of control. The operation was exposed. The monthly calls were over. The wire transfer was about to stop, and she knew it. You don't understand the pressure we've been under, she said. I do understand pressure, Mom. I worked weekends at a warehouse loading trucks so I could send you that money. I drove a car with a broken engine for 7 months because I couldn't afford to fix it. I skipped meals in the last week of the month so the wire could go out on time. That's pressure. And I did all of it because you told me the house was falling apart and you needed my help. But the house was never the point. I was the point. I was the funding source. And you called me a good son every month like it was a receipt. I walked out. I didn't slam the door. I didn't raise my voice for the entire conversation. I walked out the same way I walked in. Steady. Finished. On the drive home, I called my bank. The call took 11 minutes. I canceled the recurring wire transfer. I removed my parents' account from my saved payees. I requested a transaction history for the past 12 months. I didn't tell my parents I canceled it. I just didn't send it. December 1st came and went. No wire, no call, no explanation. The silence was the message. That's when the 6:14 a.m. call happened. And you already know how that went. 2 days after the cancellation, I sent my parents a text. No emotion, just data. A list of every wire transfer, date, amount, the stated purpose from that month's phone call, total at the bottom, $17,600. Below it, one line. Show me $17,600 worth of repairs. I'll wait. My mother responded 4 hours later. You can't reduce family to numbers. I wrote back, you reduced my weekends to numbers every month when you called on the 25th. She didn't respond. My sister texted me the same day. I hadn't contacted her. My parents must have called her. Mom says you're upset about the house money. I don't think this is fair. That surgery was something I needed for my mental health. You don't get to make me feel bad about taking care of myself. She framed the theft as self-care. My objection as emotional abuse. She turned the entire thing inside out so that I, the person who worked overtime for 11 months to send money that was stolen and redirected to her face, was somehow the aggressor for having a problem with it. I responded, "I didn't make you feel anything. I stopped paying for it. There's a difference." She wrote back, "You're being cruel." I didn't respond. 2 days later, she posted another Instagram story. A selfie with the caption, "Grateful for family who supports my journey." She didn't remove the original post. She didn't apologize. She doubled down. Because in her mind, the money was a gift she deserved, and my feelings about it were noise. My cousin Andre messaged me privately that week. "Hey Marcus, I don't know what's going on, but your mom is telling people you had some kind of breakdown. She's saying you accused her of stealing and you've been acting unstable." I sent him 3 things. The bank statement with every transfer highlighted, the before and after photos of the house showing 0 change, and a screenshot of Jenna's Instagram post with the clinic tagged, the procedure named, and the comment where she wrote, "Family helped out." Andre didn't respond for an hour. Then he wrote, "I had no idea, man." Within a day, the story shifted. Not everyone believed it. But enough. The people my mother had told I was acting crazy started hearing a second version of events. One that came with dates and numbers and photos. The truth doesn't need to be loud. It just needs to exist where the lie already traveled. The weeks that followed had a shape I didn't expect. I thought I would feel angry. I thought the rage would build after the confrontation, the way it does in movies, slow and hot and consuming. But that's not what happened. What happened was silence. My own silence. The kind of silence that settles in after you've been making noise for 11 months and suddenly stop. No more wire transfers. No more phone calls on the 25th. No more conversations about contractors and timelines and porch railings. The noise stopped. And in the space it left behind, I could hear my own life again. The sound of a morning where nobody needed $1,600 from me. The sound of a Saturday where the warehouse didn't exist. The sound of nothing. And it was the most expensive quiet I'd ever purchased. My mother called once a week for 3 weeks, each call shorter, each call more desperate. The progression was visible, like watching a battery drain in real time. Week 1 was guilt. "After everything we've done for you, Marcus, after raising you and feeding you and keeping a roof over your head, this is how you repay us?" "You're right, Mom. After everything I did for you, after 11 months and $17,600 in weekend shifts and a second job and a car I couldn't fix, this is how you repaid me. That's not fair." "No, it's not. We agree on that." Week 2 was negotiation. "What if we get a real contractor this time? What if we show you receipts? We can do it right going forward." "I'm not your contractor fund anymore, Mom. That account is closed." "You can't just stop helping your parents." I didn't stop helping my parents. I stopped funding my sister's surgery. There's a difference. "Marcus, please." You had 11 months of please. You had 11 months of my trust and my money and my body on a loading dock. You spent it on someone else's face. I don't have anything left to give you. Week 3, she called. I didn't answer. She didn't leave a voicemail. The monthly machine had no fuel left. The house kept getting worse without the money. The real problems, the ones that were genuine from the beginning, didn't pause because the wire stopped. The roof leak spread through the winter. Water damage moved from the bedroom to the hallway. The porch railing, the one my mother had been narrating updates about for 9 months without ever touching it, finally gave way during a February storm. It didn't fall dramatically. It just leaned over one night like it was tired of pretending to be functional. The kitchen ceiling stain grew wider and darker. My father put a bucket under it. My mother sent me a photo of the bucket. I didn't respond. She sent it without a caption, without a request, without the monthly warmth. Just the photo. A bucket sitting on a kitchen floor catching water from a ceiling I was supposed to have been paying to fix. I looked at it for a long time. Then I put my phone down. I was not going to feel guilty for the bucket. The bucket was not my responsibility. The bucket was the consequence of a lie that ran for 11 months on my labor. The bucket should have been there a year ago. Instead, the money that should have prevented it was recovering from surgery in an apartment 20 minutes away. My sister's Instagram quietly changed. The surgery post was the first thing to disappear. Archived, not deleted. Because deleting it would be admitting something. Archiving is just rearranging. Then someone, probably Andre, or someone he shared the evidence with, started asking questions in the comments of her other posts. Nothing aggressive, just questions. Is this the procedure your brother paid for? She disabled comments. Then she went private. The new face stayed. The audience for it shrank. She called me once, crying. You're ruining my life by telling people about this. I didn't tell anyone anything, Jenna. You posted it. You tagged the clinic. You said family helped. I just stopped paying for it. I didn't know where the money came from. You wrote, family helped out, in the comments. Who did you think was helping? Mom and Dad don't have $14,000. You know that. I know that. The only person sending that kind of money into this family was me. You didn't ask because you didn't want the answer. She was quiet for a long time. You could have just talked to me instead of making this a whole thing. I'm not the one who made it a thing, Jenna. I'm just the one who found out about it. There's a difference. She hung up. At work, the change was visible. No more weekend warehouse shifts. No more Monday mornings where my hands were cracked and my back was locked. My coworker Mike, the one who covered for me during the months I was pulling doubles, noticed it within the first week. You finally quit the overtime? I stopped sending money to a house that was never being fixed. What do you mean? My parents told me the house was falling apart. I sent them $1,600 a month for almost a year. Worked weekends at the warehouse to cover it. Turns out none of it went to the house. It went to my sister's cosmetic surgery. Mike stared at me. You're serious? $17,600. How long did that go on? 11 months. He was quiet for a moment. Then he said, That's not a repair fund, Marcus. That's a salary. I didn't respond. I just nodded. Because Mike, a guy I loaded trucks with on Saturdays, named the thing in one sentence that it took me 11 months and $17,600 and a 4-hour drive to understand. I was never funding repairs. I was on payroll. My parents were the employer. My guilt was the contract. And the salary went to someone who never even knew my shift schedule. 6 months later, I was driving through my parents' town for a work delivery. I didn't plan it. The route just went through their area. I didn't stop. But I slowed down for 1 block. The porch railing had been replaced. Cheap lumber, uneven cuts, and the joints were visible and the stain didn't match the rest of the porch. My father probably did it himself on a Saturday with wood from the hardware store and a YouTube video and the kind of frustrated energy that comes from realizing nobody else is going to do it for you. The roof still looked the same. The kitchen window still showed the stained ceiling. The house was getting fixed now. Slowly. Badly. By the people who own it. The way it should have been all along. 2 months after I cut the wire, a letter arrived at my apartment. Handwritten. My mother's handwriting. I recognized it from birthday cards and grocery lists and the notes she used to put in my lunchbox when I was 8 years old. Back when the love didn't have a billing cycle. I sat at my kitchen table and opened it. The paper smelled like her house, and that specific combination of old wood and whatever cleaning product she's been using since I was a kid. The smell almost got me. Almost made me pick up the phone and call her and pretend the last 11 months hadn't happened. Almost. The letter said, I know I lost your trust. I don't know how to get it back, but I want you to know the house was never more important than you. I just forgot that for a while. Your father and I made a terrible decision, and I don't have an excuse that would make it okay. I just want you to know I'm sorry. I'm sorry for the calls. I'm sorry for the lies. I'm sorry for every time I said you were a good son, when what I was really saying was, please don't stop sending money. You deserved better than what we gave you. You always have. I read it twice. I set it on the kitchen table. I looked at it for a long time. It was the most honest thing my mother had ever written to me. And I didn't respond. Not because I was punishing her. Not because the letter didn't matter. It did. It mattered in a way that sat heavy on my chest for 3 days. But I didn't respond because I had learned something over the past 11 months about the distance between words and actions. My mother could write a beautiful apology. She had always been good with words. The monthly calls proved that. She could make, "You're such a good son," sound like a hymn. She could make, "The porch railing needs replacing," sound like a crisis. She could make, "I'm sorry," sound like it was enough. But words were how she got me here. Words on the 25th. Words in the thank you calls. Words that sounded like love but functioned like invoices. And I wasn't going to be rebuilt by the same tool that broke me. So I left the letter on the table. I didn't throw it away. I didn't frame it. I just left it there. And over the next few days, it migrated to the counter, then to a drawer, then to a box in the closet where I keep things I don't want to look at but can't bring myself to discard. Maybe one day I'll respond. Not today. Today I'm still learning the difference between a mother who misses her son and a billing department that lost a client. And until I can tell those two things apart, the letter stays in the box. But the image I carry from this whole story happened on a Tuesday afternoon in December, the first month after I canceled The Wire. I had $1,600 I hadn't had in over a year. I drove to the mechanic. The repair cost $900. They had the car for 3 hours. When I came back, the check engine light was off. I sat in the parking lot for 5 minutes staring at the dashboard. That little orange light was on. Every morning I drove to the warehouse at 6 a.m. It was on every time I drove to my regular job on Monday with my back still aching from the weekend. It was on every night I drove home past the mechanic's shop telling myself I'd fix it next month, knowing next month's money was already promised to a porch railing nobody was touching. 7 months. That light was on for 7 months because the $900 that should have fixed it was being wired to an account that was funding a nose job. The light was off now. The dashboard was clean. I started the engine and drove home in silence. Something that had been broken for a long time was finally repaired. Just not the thing my parents told me I was paying for. Thanks for staying until the end. If this one hit something, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.